All right, everybody, welcome back to part 3 of our interview with Rudy Aho. Rudy, how has racing changed from when you started your racing career up until today? Like, what have you noticed being the main changes that have happened in the sport?
I think the biggest change I see right now, and everybody can see we got a few less people, we got less cars, but I think part of that's because even with the cars now, there's such a difference between the guy on the bottom and top. It just seems to be getting farther apart all the time. And that isn't the best thing for the fans, and it even gets the person on the bottom not as interested if he knows he can't compete. And I think there might have been some of that because you're always going to have the Bob Girardi, the Roger Cullis, and the Donny Odds. You're always going to have them running on top. But now it just seems the whole works is at the top and the bottom, and people in the bottom get frustrated. They don't even want to race anymore. And we got to get back to something, I think, to
A little bit more parity, maybe?
more parity, so when you get these people started and be able to compete.
And that'll keep them in the sport longer than too. A lot of people leave in frustration that they can't compete.
And maybe I can add right at the same time right now, that's what I think we really need, something to have a starter class. I mean, to get cars, because even our pure stock class, I mean, you get the guys in the pure stocks right now, they're either right on top of it or they're right on the bottom. And the ones on the bottom, why should I even race anymore? Because I could never even compete. And I think we have to do something with the bottom class to get more people involved and get kids involved at a younger age.
So, what problems do you see with today's racing? Or is there anything in your mind that sticks out that think maybe would be should be different?
Well, I think the first thing you got to do is get kids involved at a young age. And I think what's happening now, kids are staying at home at a young age, and parents, a lot of our parents are working, both of them are working, so they can't bring them to the races all the time. And you've got to get them involved when they're at a real young age, so when you get up to that 15, 16, 14, or whatever it is, they're ready to go, want to get a car. But right now, they're so stuck in getting involved at young in computers and...
So getting the youth interested in racing is quite the challenge.
Youth interested, probably the biggest thing we have right now. I mean, if we don't get youth interested, and the reason that worked before, you had the Estes, and you had the Oz's, and even myself with Ryan and Vessels. I mean, we were racing, so the kids picked it up, and we always had the family deal building. But that's kind of backing off here a little bit now.
Okay.
So.
What do you think could be done to help today's racing?
The cost. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing. I mean, somehow you've got to get it so they can start at a lower cost. I mean, just like I was talking before. I mean, we got to get the tire cost down. We got to get this whole cost of this racing affordable for what we live in.
Okay. Is there any people, pitmen, friends, family, sponsors that have helped you when you raced?
Well, the first one I got to thank again is my wife, but then sponsors. The first sponsor I had when I started racing, when I had my 49 Merc, was Kel's North Star. I mean, so you got to always mention your first one. I really appreciated that. And then Chisholm, I had Keyboard Liquor, Tom and Jerry's Bar, Ratco Iron Supply, which formerly was Catula's. I had multi-sports. I know I'm missing a lot of them because I had a lot of good sponsors, and without them sponsors out there, you wouldn't be racing, and the programs wouldn't be put on without the sponsors at the racetrack also.
So it helps tremendously to get the community involved.
Yeah, and the community. I mean, I can also, that's when I was running a race car. Without them, you wouldn't race, and without the sponsors, the track wouldn't race. And then we had the community, we had the St. Louis County. When I was running the racetrack, I seen how much they got involved, they helped the communities. And now when Hibbing took over the racetrack and we get it from them, they were a great help when I was there. Without them, it's hard to make it because there is so much involved in making that program run.
So when you were involved with Iron Range Racing Association, were there people on board then that helped you when you were the president?
Absolutely. I mean, my whole board was just great, but I mean, I had special guys like Jeff Canada, Rick Canada, Jay Kittner, Troy Vidal, Stacia. I mean, and I know I'm missing some of you guys, but every one of you were a great help. And without a group of people doing this, you aren't going to make it work. It just takes some.
It's a team effort.
It's a big team effort to make this work.
Definitely. Well, before we go, Rudy, is there anything that you have to say, maybe that you'd like people that might be watching this to hear, or young people interested in racing to hear?
Yeah, I think what people got to look at right now, I mean, everybody looks at a racetrack, they should have done this, they should have done that, and I think what most promoters, presidents, associations, what they need is they need people to call them with ideas. I mean, everybody's got different ideas. I mean, and 1, 2, 3 people can't make the decisions. You got to hear from everybody in the different communities. What should we do, and how can we fix this? And because we know there's been a decline, not only here, all over the racetracks, for less people and less cars. And I think everybody got to hear from you people out there, the fans, the drivers, and everybody else. What do we do to fix this? I mean, everybody can use your input.
And buy a ticket and get up in the
when you go
grandstands.
buy a ticket, and when you go to races, you get time. Try to get a couple of people to go with you, and then try to get other people interested, because that's how it's going to work. And we'd like to get it back to where it was years ago.
Well, it's definitely a great way to spend a summer evening at the racetrack with the family and
Yes,
friends.
it is.
All right, well, Rudy, I really appreciate you stopping by, taking the time off your busy schedule to stop in and have this little interview with us. And it's nice to see you again, and good luck in your future endeavors. And we'll see you at the track.
Yep, and thanks a lot for having
All
me.
right.
And I'm wishing Trevor and everybody else on their board and they've been racing with good luck this year, and we're always going to be behind them.
Okay, thank you, Rudy.